All right. Okay. I know you all want your beer, but one last talk and we'll be okay. Okay, so I'm Sébastien Navizet. I'm working here at Algolia as a brand designer, and today we'll speak about something else than UI UX design as usual. We'll speak about graphic design and more especially lettering. Who here has already practiced lettering? Raise your hand. Ah, 4 or 5. I thought I would be the only one. That's a good thing because this talk tonight is for beginners. If you want to try, but you never dared to, you can. And here we'll learn the key techniques and how it works. So this is the plan of tonight. Introduction, monoline is the first style, Gothic, brush, and then a bit of vectorization for the most technical from the audience. So the introduction first, when I talk about lettering to people, most of the time they say, "Oh, but you know, my handwriting is shitty. People can't read me." Nah, nah, nah. Yeah, but in fact, we don't care. The thing is that writing, lettering, and typography are three different things. Writing is when you write stuff. Okay, I want to buy some cigarettes or whatever. I don't care. Lettering is different than writing. We'll see that later. And typography, of course, is the art of drawing letters, but letters that can be used to form several words. You know what a typography is. You use it every day when you are creating design. Lettering, in fact, is the art of drawing unique letters. It's drawing, it's not writing. That's the main difference. So let's go directly to dive into it. First, the monoline. The monoline is the simplest style of hand lettering. It looks like this. That's the one I realized for you, simple. So what are the key elements of the monoline style? First, the stroke is always round and constant. You don't have any change in the widthness of the stroke. Of course, the inclination is constant. It's something we'll see really often in lettering. You have to make your letters as regular as possible to be really legible. And also, it goes in the same way. We have constant width. All these letters are constantly spaced. When we do hand lettering in the beginning, we try to go crazy. We really want to draw crazy letters. It's not really the point. If you want to make something classy, something impactful, you have to create really regular letters, and then you can go crazy on some details, on caps, on lockers, and we'll see that later. But first, lettering is about regularity, not creativity. Creativity comes after. And we'll see some examples of that. So this is a first example. Do not hesitate to take pictures if you want to keep the names. These are the sources I used from Instagram. This first kind of monoline is what we call street style. It's something we could see on a sweater. It's really street style because the letters are simple, they're straight, and they are not too much flourishment. As you can see, all the letters inside the word are regular, and they go just crazy with the cap, the lockers, and the end of the word. That's most of the time the case in hand lettering. This one is a bit different. It's a bit more classic style. It differs a bit from the street style because we can see this kind of letter. You recognize the S you were used to write in this school. It's this kind of letters. It's also interesting because this is a mix of lowercase f with the uppercase f. This f is very interesting. It's a mix of the two letters. After that, if you want to go a bit further, you can have fun with what we call flourishment. So as you can see, the handwriting is really simple, but we have a lot of loops, and that's what gives the style on the lettering. We can also go on more crazy stuff. It's a Living is a really well-known guy that always draws monoline. You have gradient in the stroke, and you have nice shadows that give this kind of subtle 3D touch to the lettering. It's also a bit of what we call straight style because all the strokes are really straight. The T is only 2 bars. And if you are really passionate about monoline, you can even go further and use your monoline in Cinema 4D to create 3D stuff. There are plenty of them. That's crazy, and it takes a lot of time. So not really for beginners, but just I wanted you to see that. No need to go that far. You can also draw simple stuff on Sopalin. Voilà. That's also cool, and it goes, a bit on the tag graffiti style, so you can really have fun with that. It's impactful. Second style, Gothic. Wow, less fun. Voilà, this is Gothic. So Gothic is the most old style that we'll see tonight. It comes from the Gothic period. It's named like this. What are the key elements of the Gothic? So first, the constant width, again. That's something we'll see regularly in lettering. The alignment is the same, but here it's vertical. That's important. That's important. Why? Because the stroke is made with a feather that is 45 degrees inclined. You have to hold your pen like this, and that's what will make the specificity of the Gothic style. When you use your pen, that will make 6 stroke and thin strokes, and that's just the direction. You have to keep your 45 degrees angle from the beginning to the end. You'll have a proper Gothic style. As you can see here, everything is 45. That's how you have to do this. So, okay, it seems simple, but how do I draw? Practice. No mystery, no secret. You have to learn all the letters, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience. But that's cool to meditate. Yeah, I'll never try lettering. This is a keyword that could be useful if you're interested into that, to look into Google. Ductus, okay, Latin word. That's this kind of document. You have all the letters, and you have arrows that will tell you what is the first stroke, what is the second one, and that's something that will help you learn how to draw letters. Let's see some examples, because right now it's boring, but you can do really cool stuff with Gothic. Okay, classic one. Again, Instagram post, really cool. As you can see, all the letters inside are always really regular, again. But it goes crazy with this K, the L, and the G. And that's all, it's enough. It's got style. That's really cool. We can also have this, just for the joke. This, okay, no, sorry, I don't want you to have it in your head. This is really more flourished. It's not really legible. What I found interesting in that one is that you have this kind of middle element that you can often see in lettering. That's something you add after you draw the letters. It brings them more together. Here, it's the case. We find again this element in the middle. What is interesting here is that, as you can see, the letters are really more rounded. So we can say that it's a bit more modern Gothic style. It has details and, again, flourish that brings the impression that it's a whole drawing and not only letters. This one is cool because you have the P and the S, again, first and last letters, that are really taken from the graffiti style. So this one is interesting because you see that you can really make a mix between Gothic and graffiti style. And you can imagine this for a team of baseball or whatever. It works pretty well. I mean, Gothic is not only for the Bible. You can use it everywhere. And Gothic also led to this kind of really modern stuff. So on the screen, you don't see it, but they work on really abstract patterns based of the Gothic style. Most of the time, people doing this kind of abstract painting with Gothic style are Russian, because Russian use Cyrillic letters. And when they use our alphabet, Occidental alphabet, they don't see it as letters, but more as shapes. And so they can really go further than us because we are a bit in our brain blocked by the meaning of the letters. So that's why they often are really good at this kind of stuff. And last but not least, this one is really cool, to reason. So that's what we call mosaic. That's something we see a lot these days on the web. It looks real, but it's totally fake. It's made on Illustrator and Photoshop. It's not a real mosaic, it's a fake one. And this one is also interesting because it's an ambigram. So you read Austin, Texas, but if you reverse it, you will also read Austin, Texas. I like it. It's the moment where people are, okay, don't break your neck, please. Cool. Last but not least, brush, the most well-known style that we see everywhere on the web, this kind of stuff. So this is, I would say, the most complicated to master. It has, again, the constant inclination, the constant width, spacing, again. And what makes the difference is the stroke, because it's thin and thick, and it depends. In fact, it depends of the direction where you go. If you go down, it's thick. If you go up, it's thin. You have to master it on the paper with your pen first, and that's what takes the longest time, because you have to really to be homogeneous in your thickness and the thinness of your stroke. So again, you have to practice, and in the beginning, it's not fun at all. I mean, but it's fun after. Uh, so you have to do stroke, 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 and again, and again, and again. And then you feel more comfortable. It's not working. It's bugging. Okay, so as you see, it's long. Sorry. I try to unplug and replug it. Mm-hmm. Bon. Okay, legacy way. Okay, and when you feel more comfortable, you can start with curves and so and so, and you have the famous ductus. Woo. Okay, let's see some examples. That's the basic Instagram post. We can see it everywhere. Sometimes it's orange, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's yellow, red, whatever, but it's always the same. You can see here the classic brush style, and it's often paired with a sans serif handmade font with a circle, and you see that everywhere with the Crayola pencil that you had in school, because they use that to do brush lettering sometimes. If you want to go a bit further, you have David de Milan, that is really well known. He draws this kind of stuff. This one is really interesting because brush script is not something known for to be elegant, and this one is, because first it's gold, okay, but also these thin strokes that comes from the big stroke brings a really nice subtle touch that can be useful sometimes in some project that implies femininity or whatever. This is something I wanted to show you because you can bring some texture to your brush style, some little elements and some shadows to give more deepness and depth to that. Nothing special. This is something interesting because you can see here that one word, 5 letters, but you can really go crazy and do a tons of different stuff. But it's still brush lettering, still the same word, but you can really look in different direction. This is something to keep in mind. It can be useful if you are doing research for a logo or something. Sometimes brush lettering could do the trick. And a bit further, this one is really nice. So it's a bit dark, but you can see here a man playing basketball. Here, what is interesting is that he used Illustrator to give this kind of shades with gradients, and it really looks like fake 3D. It gives some depth, some life to the lettering. It's kind of interesting. And again, it's paired with a sans serif font that is really thin. When you work with font pairing, you need to work on contrast. You can't use too bold fonts, too thin fonts or letters. You have to have one bold and one thin in most of the time. Of course, design rules are made to be broken. And this one is let's say crazy. The guy, I think, spent many nights on this one, and it's a French guy. Ooh. Okay, again, lots of Photoshop and lots of work on texture and lights. But this came from paper, and all the time when you see even these kinds of lettering, you always start on paper. That's really important to keep in mind, because right now we have iPad Pros and we can do lettering on iPad. Okay, that's cool. That's really cool. You can do lots of stuff that works well. But if you want to learn lettering, start with paper. You have to learn it on paper, and then you'll be able to use the iPad to do what you want. And we'll see now how to come from the paper to the computer. So first, you begin with a first lettering on paper. So I won't cheat. It's here. That's this one. Okay. No fake. If you are like me, you don't have a scanner because the scanner is expensive, but you don't care because you have a smartphone. At least I hope. For designers, it's often better. And so you just have to take a photo. You use this photo. You use the gradient map or levels and curves, whatever, in Photoshop. You work on contrast, and then you vectorize it. So you put this image in Illustrator, and you use your little mouse to make clean curves. But how to make clean curves? So that's what I made for this one. So clean curves are made with horizontal and vertical handles. That's not something you have to do, but it's a nice technique because it will allow you two things. First, you'll have as less points as possible. And the less points you have, the cleaner the curve is. And also, it's really convenient because if you want to resize it, you will keep the fact that it's vertical and horizontal. So that's really something you have to keep in mind. It's not easy in the beginning, but when you get used to it, you will save a lot of time and make things really clean. So this path gives this, and then it's really clean. It feels a bit too clean. So you can go and dive into it, take some black paths, and you have this, and then of course you fake ink, and that's all. Then you can play with colors and have fun and make a lot of things. For example, I create this. Okay, so Photoshop, blending opacity, a gradient like Instagram, and okay, get new the trick. With one lettering, you can have plenty of treatments. So with the first monoline, remember, okay, it was 15 minutes ago, so I hope you remember. You can treat it in a lot of different ways. And imagination is the only limit, okay? And so, of course, if you need inspiration, I invite you to take a photo of that. It's a list of Instagram accounts. All the posts you've seen tonight come from these accounts. They are inspiration sources that takes lettering from different artists and gather them, and that's pretty good quality. And of course, if you want inspiration, I invite you to follow me on Instagram. All of that for that. I try to do cool stuff also. So that's it. I hope it will give you the will to begin lettering, and thank you for your attention.